Hello again, this is Rob Puricelli from failedmuso.com, and this is our introduction and review on video of the new Electro Suite library from UVI. It works with their UVI workstation, and if you want to know more about that, go to uvi.net. It will tell you all about it in there, and also you can check out some of the other reviews that we've done for libraries of their material. So Electro Suite, they describe it as a unique compilation of powerful instruments and a huge sound library featuring construction kits, loops, single elements, and dedicated to electronic dance music. So if that's your bag, this is definitely worth checking out. Retails for $199 is over 4 gigabytes in size, so it's quite a hefty package in terms of price and also size. So you're going to get a lot for your money, and that's always guaranteed with the UVI stuff. And of course, it's got the brilliant UVI ethic of a clean, simple workflow. Easy to find stuff, very easy to get around and actually start making some great stuff using the material. So without further ado, let's have a quick look here at what we've got. Just turn the volume down there so I don't blast your ears out. So as you can see here, we've got the UVI Electro Suite library, and when you click on that, you are presented with 6 different options. The first one's called Construction Kits. We'll start off with that in just a moment. We've also got the Carmine Poly, which is a polyphonic synth, the Dirty Mono, which is a monophonic synth, the Drum Shaper, it's all to do with drums, Mission Control, that's quite an interesting one, and Sweet Machine. All of these very, very useful tools. You can use some, you can use all. Let's crack on and have a look at the very first thing here, which is Construction Kits. Now, if you click on there, you'll see the little arrow here denotes that there is a further tree in the sort of branch in the structure tree, and we've got here drum construction kits, musical construction kits, sorted elements, sorted loops, and X samples. Let's have a quick look at the drum construction kits, and as we see, another level appears, and we've got a whole bunch of drum construction kits here. They've been given a name that's suitable towards their style and genre that they're aimed at, and also they're categorized by their BPM, which is quite useful. So we're starting off here with 126, goes up to 132. If we choose one of those, then we see a further level appear where we have elements, loops, or we can just have the whole thing mapped across the keyboard. Let's start off with that one first, and we'll just double click on that, and away it goes. And so you've got all these different sounds and little loops just mapped across the keyboard, nice and simple. And of course you can play more than one of these at a time. So there you go, and they're all mapped across the keyboard for you there, nice and simple. If we go back to the browser, we can actually have a look at the elements. Now the elements here are all the different WAV files, and again you can see that they're nicely categorized. So the in the club is the type, the style that we've got here, and then we've got bass drum, hi-hats 1, 2, and 3, rim shots, snare drums, shakers, and toms, and you can see they're all WAV files. Now the really interesting part here is that we can just take this and drag and drop them into any application that we so desire. So if you want to use them in your audio application, your audio workstation, and you just want to use that one particular loop or element, just take it out and use it. And the same goes for the loops here. So here are the 4 different loops that come with this particular drum kit, and click on those, we can get an idea of what they are. Okay, and again, these are WAV files, so you can just drag and drop them. And for example, with the loops, I can straight away see a great use for those. Throw them into Propeller Heads Recycle, for example, chop them up, mess them around, throw them back into whatever audio workstation you're using. This is great. A lot of the time you get these libraries and the loops and the elements are embedded into a monolithic file, and you want to use them in something else outside of, say, UVI Workstation or anything else. You can't, because you can't drag these things out. Here they are. Every single element is drag and droppable into the DAW of your choice. But have a look at this. Click on OK, and now we can see the waveform as it appears. We can slice it, we can stretch it, we can map it, we can synchronize it, we can drop the speed, we can just literally drag and drop it. We can edit it within UVI Workstation and then drag and drop it into our DAW of choice. So the possibilities are almost endless, and that's really, really cool. I'm so chuffed with this. When I see construction kits, I get a bit worried. I get a bit nervous because to me it kind of cheapens music making process. Somebody somewhere, or a group of people somewhere, have sat down and come up with some loops and breaks and beats and what have you, and then they've shoved them into a package and they've made them all a generic tempo and key, and then all you have to do is like a jigsaw puzzle that there isn't really an end picture to it. You can just piece them together, and all of a sudden you sound like the next David Guetta. Like we need another David Guetta. So construction kits fill me with a sense of dread when I see them. However, when they're allowing you complete and utter control, and you can go in, I really love that kick sound, I really like that hi-hat. You can go in and isolate it, do what you want with it. This is a proper construction kit. It is not a series of loops that can just be arranged in any fashion and make you sound like you're the next big thing. This is far more than that. This allows you to get right into the detail, and it's just superb. I think it's really, really good indeed. So we can just mess around with this loop here. Different speeds across the keyboard. But if we just hit it here in middle C, and we can double it up, or we can slow it down by half. So instant kind of gratification, and you can mess around with the tempo and the tuning. You can also latch it up so you can just hit the key and bam, it just carries on. You can let go and away you go. You can start slicing things up. You know, I could spend a lot of time on this, and you can stretch things, you can map it out across the keyboard, you know, do all sorts of different things within the UVI workstation, or mess around with it, drag and drop it out into your workstation of choice. So if you're using Ableton Live, you can create nice loops from this and then just drop them straight in. Or if you want to, you can use an application like Propellerhead Recycle, or you can just stick them into Cubase or Sonar or whatever. You know, it's entirely up to you. This is your stuff. So I'm really chuffed with the quality of this and the power that this gives you. These loops and stuff. It's not just, you know, you're not prescribed to sticking with these things. And there are so many different types of kit in here, and I'm not going to load them all up because we would be here forever. So yeah, these are great stuff. This is really, really, really good stuff, and it's kind of restored my faith in construction kits. And there's so much here. As you can see, there are all of these drum construction kits, and then we can go to the musical construction kits, and the same principles apply. So this time with the musical construction kits, we now have them listed not only by BPM, but also their root key. So we've got A, B, C, D sharp here, F, A, B, so on and so forth, and we can just pick out any one of these, click on those. Again, we have elements, so the actual element samples, the loops that they've put in there, or we can just go with their mapped out version for you here, which is all marked here. So what you've got here, this is quite interesting. On the left hand side here, it says here from C1 to B1 are the drum elements. Okay, and then from C2 to B2, we've got the drum loops. Okay, and then from C3, we've got the instrument loops. And also what you'll see down here, we've got some macros down here. We've got we can affect the volume of the drums and the instruments. We can use effects by turning that on there. Drum loop frequency and filters. You know, we've got and then this extra power thing. I'm hoping this is not going to kill your speakers. But let's just pull up a drum loop, and then we'll stick a synth part on top of that as well. Okay, we hit extra power. Just gives it that bit of boost. Okay. And there's some drum loop effects for you. So we just take the synths out there, and we can do that kind of that classic filter opening. Just very, very clever. Would I use this musically? Probably not. This is not the way I like to make music, but I know it's a way that lots of other people do like to do it. How would you use this particular construction kit? I don't know. Whether you'd stick with having loops and then adding your own. You know, you can improvise on top of this. You know, there's so much fun you can have, and even if you only use it as an inspiration tool, it's great. It's really good, really, really good. So that's construction kits. Let's go back and have a look and see what else we have in here. We've also got sorted elements. So they've taken all the elements from all the construction kits and then categorized them into bass drum, snare drum, etc., as you can see there. And you can click on that, and then what you do is you see all the individual WAV files, and as you can see, that's just bass drums, and then snares, and miscellaneous stuff in here as well. This is comprehensive. I think the word comprehensive isn't quite comprehensive enough. There's so much stuff in here. Same goes for loops. Again, all nicely categorized. You go in, there's the WAV file, and again you can drag and drop and mess around with this stuff ad infinitum. And then X samples, again, a whole bunch of musical samples. This time they're mapped out across the keyboard. So let's pick out this one here, the guitar, and this is where we now see this nice, very simple, typically UVI interface where we can mess around. And so we've got a little mini instrument here, and we can mess around with its filter and the amplitude envelopes and the glide and the modulation. Yeah, you get the idea. This is very, very powerful stuff, and this is just the construction kit part of it. We've not touched on anything else, which we're going to have to do because we're going to run out of time if we don't. So there you go, construction kits, drums, musical construction kits, elements and loops, all sorted for you, all usable within the UVI workstation, or whether you choose to use that as a standalone or a plugin. And also you can take all of those WAV files and very, very simply just drag and drop them into your workstation of choice or your instrument of choice if it accepts those things. And most do nowadays, so you can drag and drop those WAV files. So for instance, if you're like me, if you're a predominantly propeller head Reason user, this still is absolutely worth buying, because these construction kits, you can drag and drop the WAV files straight into to Reason and use them with the NNXT or the NN19 samplers in there. You can use them in Recycle and chop them up and mess around with them to your heart's content, and then create your own Rex files and throw them into Reason. So this isn't just for VST users or one particular type of user. This can be used by anyone. And of course, if you've got the UVI workstation, which is free and has just been updated to 2.0.5, this is just an absolute dream to use. So there you go, that's construction kits. Let's move very swiftly along to the UES Carmine Poly. And this is the first of 5 key instruments within the Electro suite itself. Now, as with all UVI instrumentation, it's sample based, so there's no real deep software synthesis going on here. This is properly sample based, and as such, as you can see there, it's taken a few seconds to load up. My machine is really not the fastest machine in the world, so if you've got something that's running say Windows 7 or Mac OS X latest version, whatever that might be, whichever animal they've decided to name it after this time, and you've probably got quad or quad core processor, lots of memory. If you're running 64-bit as well, that's going to speed things up, but yeah, not deathly slow. Anyway, here we go. Here's the Carmine Poly synth. No surprises really. Couple of oscillators, amplitude and filter envelopes, LFOs, some glide, and then we've got some options down here for drive, phaser, delay and sparkle, and these all tie in to UVI Workstation's own effects rack here. So we just click on effects and we can see that it pre-populates the rack with some of the effects that come standard with UVI Workstation, and it just utilizes those directly with a button there, and we've got level controls. Really very, very simple. Comes with a reasonable amount of presets. I'd have liked to have seen more presets in here, but that said, you can tweak these to your heart's content and do what you like with these. So you've got some good starting points here. So let's just choose here the space pad. Which is all very nice, and analog bells. And there's, you know, we can go through some of these. That's quite nice. If we go back to the default preset, nice bright sound, and of course we can mess around with the oscillators, with the volumes and the coarseness and the fine tuning and the panning and the octaves. So we can go here and we can mess around with both of those. And what we've got here is we've got a selection of different oscillators. Like I said, this is sample based, so we go through and these are all the different types of oscillators we can have in oscillator 1, and pretty much the same in oscillator 2. So we can combine these and we can turn the oscillators on and off. So if I put, at the moment this is just a saw wave, if I put in a sine wave as well, shove that an octave down to give it a bit of oomph, and let's choose something else. Let's choose, let's go for that CS saw. You get the idea. It's very, very, very simple to use, and that's great for me. You know, I know some stuff, but just to be able to get into here and mess around, and you can you've got loads of different choices there for the LFO, and you can choose your filters, so low pass, high pass, band pass, all in there, and we can mess around with drives and glides, and so we can get effects. Put the glide up. Throw a phaser in there. Nice delay, a bit of sparkle. You get the idea. This is a very powerful polyphonic synthesizer, and although it is sample based, and some might say, well, that's not really a proper one, it gets great results, some great results, and so there's some really good presets in here as well. So there you go. That's the Carmine Poly. Simple, effective, powerful. Does what it says, really. Let's move on now, and let's look at the Dirty Mono, which is the monophonic synthesizer within the package. And you know, there'll be no surprises here. It's going to be a very simple monophonic synth, but it's got some nice little touches that will just make it stand out just a little bit. So we just wait for this to load up.